I don't know why, but the record button did not get pushed on Tuesday. So here's a video to try to replace that recording. We'll go over some helpful hints on how to use Lili. We'll look at the note-taking templates, and then last we'll look at what's the difference between a report and research. Next week we'll be looking at outlines and rough draft. So what is the deal with Lili? Why am I saying go use Lili? If you take a minute, pause this, and look at that link, and you'll find something about a tree octopus. Now, we've been counseled for years, probably by other teachers, saying, just go with your gut. Does it look legitimate? Does it have a polished look? And you know what? That website fits all of those criteria. It looks good. It's recent. It's updated. Yeah, but still completely unreliable and not usable. So that is one of the biggest reasons why I have students use Lili. So you're not going to be stuck with a tree octopus. Next, quite often students will submit sources that appear to be scholarly but are lacking in some scholarly vigor. For example, this one here, we have no idea who this Tom Veal is. I'm trying to get my pen to work, and it won't. This Tom Veal. If he had a doctorate in Middle English literature, maybe I would believe him. I don't know who he is. It could be Bob in the basement writing about this. Another thing that makes me concerned about this website is it's claiming to be an expert on everything from religion to the victims of George W. Bush. How can you possibly be an expert at that many things? This also was another source submitted by a student from previous years. If you were to Google Shakespeare and authorship, this would come up as one of the first sources. But is it scholarly? No. In fact, if you look at this, it's really a review for a movie that is not doing research on, scholarly research on the topic. So, when it comes to sources, there's the good, the bad, and the ugly. And you know what? Some of those ugly sites are just Bob in the basement writing about something he knows nothing about. So when you're dealing with the internet, don't believe everything you read or see, especially if there's just a picture with a quote next to it. So it's time to put some big boy research pants on and do some real research. Now, you could just do a simple Google search and use sources. However, you would need to spend hours verifying the background, authenticity, and bias of those sources. And I know that you guys don't want to do that. So you could use Lili. Lili has verified, supported research sources. It will save you a lot of time. Now, using a search engine in a database can be a little tricky, so I'm going to go over some steps to help you a little. First of all, when you go to Lili, there will list these resources. I highly recommend using the first one, this Explore a Secondary. You can use any of them. I'm just recommending that because it will bring you back your most usable information. You can go click on the cyberbullying prevention place, but you know what? That's probably not going to give you a lot of information about who really authored Shakespeare's plays. Okay, so as I say, you can look at the other one. I just recommend using Explore a Secondary. You'll have the best success. If you want to have some higher end things like doctoral dissertations, then you might try the Academic Search Premier. But start with the Explore a Secondary. When you click on to Explore a Secondary, there will be a search box comes up at the top. This is what I typed in: Shakespeare, authorship, and questions of evidence. A simple search term that you can start with. But you can see here, I only got 2 results. I've narrowed my search so much that I'm not getting back that much. Now, both of those may be excellent sources, and if they're what you want and need, go ahead and use them. But remember, we need at least 5. So you may want to go back and after you check those 2 out, do a different search. This time you can see my search terms here were Shakespeare authorship debate. See how I used the word debate in there, and how now I have 18 sources. Again, some of them might be exactly what I want, some of them not so much. So now you'll need to go through the process of reading through the description. Sometimes you can eliminate some of them just based on that. Sometimes you'll need to click on the article itself and then read some to determine whether, yes, I've got what I want, or no, cross this off the list. Now, in order to help you even further with your search, you can look right here under these subjects, and they give you some search terms that returned this article to you. If that article is what you want, you might want to change your search if you choose to do another search to include some of these search terms, and you might get more of the articles that you want. Okay. Again, you can click on the Academic Search Premier. Just know that this is going to be more college level, where the Explorer Secondary is more high school level. And again, if you go with a very basic general one, Shakespeare authorship, I got 227 sources. You might want to restrict that by going down here and choosing, I just want scholarly journals. Click on that to restrict your search terms even more. Searching is a skill, and it needs to be something you practice. Nobody is good at it the very first time. So if you're getting a little frustrated, change some of your search terms up a little bit. And if you're still not having luck, send me an email. Say, Mrs. Lake, I've searched this and I've searched this and I can't find anything. And I'll give you some suggestions via email. Okay? So, bottom line, use Lili, because you know what? I don't like to live that dangerously. I want to avoid Bob in the basement, questionable sources that are unverified and unsupported. Next up, the note-taking template. This is an article that I found. The title is Bard Thou Never Wert, on the Shakespeare authorship debate. Reading the abstract, I go, this is what I want. This will work. So I download and look at the whole article. I put a screenshot here of the first 6 or 7 paragraphs, and what I'm going to do is read the article, and as I am reading it, jot down notes on the note-taking template in that top box. So, right here, the William Shakespeare we know is both fact and artifact, a composition of 19th century scholarship and sentiment. No serious biography of him was undertaken until nearly 200 years after his death, when Shakespeare studies became a heavy industry that were inseparable from bardolatry. That means the study of Shakespeare. So, I read that first paragraph, and if I were taking notes, what I might want to do at this point in time is write, no biography. Oops, that's an O, biography for 200 years. Okay, then I'll go on to the next paragraph. And if there's something significant in here, come and write it down. Then I'll write through the next paragraph. Something significant, I'll write it down. I will do that through the complete article. Now, I was handwriting this. You don't have to handwrite it. You can type it, whichever one you want. Okay. Now, the next box on here is the summary notes. Okay, very important. I've had several people change the size of the box. There's a reason why this box is this big and this box is this big. The summary notes should make you summarize what you have read. Why? Because when you write the paper, you need to be presenting your interpretation, what you understand about that subject. And if you are presenting it in your words, supported with a few well-chosen quotes, then you're going to avoid plagiarism issues. Right. Last but not least, in this note-taking template, there's the abstract. In your own words and without looking at the original article, so you're not tempted to borrow or steal any of their sentence structure or vocabulary. What if you had to summarize that whole article in 1 or 2 sentences, what would you say? And again, do not look at the original article when you do this. The very last item right here is the bibliographic information, and this is where you would copy paste your citation. So yeah, wherever article or book that you got it from Lili, copy it in there. You should turn in 1 note-taking template for each of your sources. So that means 5 templates for your 5 sources. Okay. I consider the note-taking template assignment pass-fail. So no excuse not to get your 50 points, 10 points for each template. And if you only turn in 4 templates that are good, I will say, hey, you've got 4 good templates. Here's 40 points. Let me see another one. And I will want to see that 5th one. So keep submitting, keep working on it until you have got all 50 points. Again, pass, fail, no reason not to have all 50 of those points. Last, the research paper. This is a research paper, not a report. A report is what you did back in elementary school when you said, this is a polar bear and it lives in the Arctic Circle and it eats this. Okay, we are not doing a report. If you can easily Google the answer and write it in a list of first you do this and then you do that, or this is where it lives and this is what it eats, you're doing a report. This is a research paper. You need to use available facts, information, internalize it, understand it, analyze it, and then evaluate and present your evaluation in a paper format. What does that look like? Okay? A report would be something like this. How's a ukulele made? Simple steps. First you do this, then you do that. No analysis required there. However, what is the best type of wood to make a ukulele? See how we've changed that. You have to research all the different kinds of woods that ukulele are made out of, and then evaluate for circumstances that you present which one would be the best. And does that best mean cost effective? Does that best mean have the best tone? How do you do that? Up there are some other examples of what reports are like versus what research and analysis is like. Now, there are several different ways you can critically evaluate literature. And this section right here is specifically for those who are doing the ones in the British literature class, not your senior project. You are probably used to the formalist criticism, where you're looking at the symbolism or the metaphors or the imagery in a piece of literature. We will be doing that spring semester with Pride and Prejudice. Yeah, so do not look at symbolism, foreshadowing, dialogue, nothing like that. What we are going to be doing is either a biographical criticism where we examine the author's life and see how that can give a deeper understanding of their writing and its significance. For example, importance of being earnest. He often talked about bun-burying, and that could be interpreted because of he had homosexual relationships with someone else. Bun-burying was when he hid private activities. So that's one interpretation of the importance of being earnest. You can also have historical cultural criticism, and that's where you look at a piece of literature and examine it in its relationship to a historical or cultural surroundings. That is what we will be doing with like the Pride and Prejudice option or the Chinois Chibi option. For example, Arthur Miller wrote a play about the Salem witch trials called The Crucible. If you were doing a historical cultural reading of The Crucible, you would be thinking about how accurately that portrayed the witch trials, or what does The Crucible reveal about Puritan society. If you have questions about what we covered in Class Connect, please send me an email. Otherwise, I'll be looking forward to seeing you in Class Connect next Tuesday.